You're fighting, you're fighting a battle, Reiner, that is very big.
It's it's not just myself.
Yes.
We're fighting on two fronts. One is the strictly the legal level, which is what but others, dozens of other attorneys worldwide are doing. We're suing because we want to know, we want as many courts of law as possible to tell us precisely why the PCR tests doesn't do what Dr. Drustin, or he isn't even a doctor, he's a fake. Professor
Mm.
Drustin, he's not even a real professor. What he told the world through the WHO, it's a false statement of fact. So we're trying to get as many court decisions as possible. We're lucky because the day before yesterday, we got another one
Mm.
from a Vienna court in Austria. And but the ultimate goal is, of course, to sue those who are responsible for damages, and that is only possible
Yeah.
in those Anglo-American countries. And the other job I have is, of course, the one with the Berlin Corona Investigative Committee, which turned out to be a platform which in the end is evidently collecting evidence for these lawsuits inadvertently.
So okay, right. So let's quickly just go back a little bit, Ryan, if you don't mind. For those
Sure.
who A, aren't aware of who you are, and B, our last conversation. So let's just go back. What is it that you're doing?
I have two jobs. My real job, my daytime job, so to speak, is I'm a lawyer, and I've been a trial lawyer for 26 years now. My firm and I, with some of the people working for me for 20 years now, we have been representing consumers and small and medium sized businesses against fraudulent
Yeah.
corporations, both here in Germany and, as I'm also admitted to the bar, in California. I've done a little bit of work. I don't have a lot of courtroom experience, but I've done a little bit of work in the United States as well. And and because of this experience, in particular with Deutsche Bank, which is one of the most criminal organizations in this world, I wasn't completely surprised at what was unfolding before our eyes in the context of Corona, except this time it's not just one fraudulent corporation, but it's dozens and dozens of fraudulent corporations, plus the politicians whom they managed to get under their control. So this is my other job, the Corona Investigative Committee in Berlin, which my friend and colleague Viviane Fischer and two other attorneys founded on July 10th of last year.
Now, I mean, this this battle against the WHO and the derivatives. I mean, this isn't even about money anymore. Even if it were, it wouldn't matter because this is about something so much more important. I mean, I saw an article the other day that said this is going to be as big, or if not slightly smaller than the Nuremberg trial. I mean, this is very, very big, Rainer.
Yes, there cannot be any doubt whatsoever, at least not for me, after having interviewed so many experts from all different fields of science, doctors, virologists, epidemiologists, economists, lawyers, psychologists, psychiatrists. Just today, we interviewed, I think, four highly renowned psychologists, I'm sorry. There cannot be any doubt whatsoever that what has been happening here for a year now is, and uh, when I first said this, some people kind of rolled their eyes and said, "Hey, nobody's going to ever agree with you." But this is the worst. These are the worst crimes against humanity ever committed. This is worse than what happened in World War II, and of course in World War One. What's even worse is that so many people are participating in this. The same type of people who participated some 80 years ago in what was then going to be World War II. I'm not just saying this, I'm quoting this from Vera Sharaf, who is a Holocaust survivor. We interviewed her a couple of weeks ago, and she said, "This is so incredible. I would never," she was a child then, she was in Auschwitz. And she said, "This is so incredible. I would never have believed that I'm once again going to have to fight the very same people whom I fought 80 years ago or 75 years ago."
And who are those people?
Those are, well, back then it was the Nazis, of course, but mainly the ones who were instrumental in helping the Nazis with their terrible goals were the medical doctors. Just like today, not all of them, of course, but I'd say 80 or 90% of the doctors, not just here in Germany, but in most other countries as well. I'm not talking about every country, because there's a distinct difference between those countries that are under the influence of the West, where this is really, this whole game plan is really being rolled out. So much pressure is being applied on the governments, or maybe they don't even have to apply any pressure on the governments anymore. But it's different in India and Africa and other countries, where in many instances they have the very same rules, like mask mandates, but people don't care. So it is not, the plan doesn't quite seem to be working the way that they figured it would be working. You can see it from all these mistakes that are happening now.
But I mean, Rainer, come on. We all know that it's about a virus.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, right. No, we all know now. I mean, we should know. Those 10 or 20% of us who still have a brain to use and to think with, this has never been about the virus. This has never been about health. This has always been about taking everything away from us so that we would be dependent on them, plus population reduction, plus gaining complete control over those who are left. That is, I wouldn't have said this a year ago. A year ago, if you had asked me, or if somebody had told me this, I would have said, hey, you definitely need to see a doctor. But no, this is what all the evidence, all of the people who we interviewed on the Corona Committee, what this points to. This conclusion is inevitable.
Jennifer